What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jay. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. Today we have my uncle. He's a police officer. So let's sit down with him and see what he's got for us. What's going on, guys? Please join me in welcoming Officer Sheikh here. Officer Sheikh, how you doing?
Good, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right. So we'll just start with your background. Why don't you tell about where you grew up, where did you go to school, things of that nature.
Well, I grew up in West Philly. So I went to high school in Bartram, Southwest. Then from there, I went to Delaware County Community College for 2 years. Then I took off for 2 years because I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself.
Okay.
Then I went to Penn State in Abington, got my bachelor's from there, and that's where I'm right now.
So what is your bachelor's on?
On criminal justice.
So you took the 2 years off. Like, what made you go in and get into criminal justice?
Well, it's something that I always wanted to do as a child. So as a child, you know how everybody say you want to do this, you want to do that.
Right.
And when you grow up, and I actually had the passion to be a cop.
Wow.
And I always wanted to do that, even back home. But then when I started to grow up and I started to realize all this bad policing, I guess corruption, if you want to say it back home, it kind of like turned me away. I didn't want to do that no more because the love and interest I had to become one after grow up and realizing all this thing going on, I didn't want to do that no more. So when I came here, I seen there's the actual different mindset as a cop. People actually have different respect.
You're talking specifically the corruption in Bangladesh,
Right.
not here.
Not here,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
saying. And then when I came
Right.
here, all of a sudden, what the mindset I had as a cop, the picture that I had in my mind, I kind of saw it here.
Okay.
So I was like,
that
you know
makes
what?
sense.
That kind of built my interest back up again. I was like, you know what? That's the field I want to get into because I always had the desire to be one as a kid.
Gotcha.
But I just didn't know how to go about it.
Okay, well, before I get into your position now, what was your career path like in terms of, what type of jobs have you held before becoming an officer?
I only had, this is my second job. I only had one job before this.
Okay.
I was working at a pizza business and I was a manager there. Obviously, I worked my way up to be a manager.
What was that like?
That was an experience and I'm kind of thankful that because it has taught me a lot of things, which allowed me to use it to this job in a way as far as being dependable, responsible, and whatnot.
Okay.
And I did that for while I was trying to be a cop. I don't want to do anything else, so I held on to that job.
That makes sense.
To trying to just because I only wanted to do that, and I went while I was doing that. Eventually, I worked my way up.
That's
and moved
hard.
Up, exactly, move up the ladder. But then I came to the glass ceiling where I wasn't getting promoted anymore at that job.
Right.
So I was pretty much stuck. And then when this opportunity came through, and that's something I always wanted to do. So as soon as I got this chance, I'm like, all right, I love what I was doing, but this is what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I just made the transition.
So what is your official title in terms of your job? I mean, you're an officer.
I'm just a police officer.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much it.
So what are some of the different titles within your organization?
Well, obviously, everybody's a police officer. Obviously you recruit first, and you're a police officer, and then you could be a detective, sergeant, which is the supervisors, or the corporal, who's pretty much. The corporal would be like detective, and corporal is pretty much the same level. And detectives, obviously, do detective work, versus the corporal would be more like inside work. They're not on the street.
Gotcha.
Not saying they can't be, but they are mostly the operations of the inside building. And then the sergeants, they are the street supervisors.
Oh wow! So how many steps are there up until the top? I guess you can go.
I actually don't know. Like I said, it could be like a lieutenant, but at least like 8 or 9 steps before you can actually be a commissioner.
So I know there was a lot of training and things that went into you becoming a cop.
Correct.
So what was that like? And if I don't know if you can tell us details, but if you go into that. Maybe.
Well, I could just say it was just fun and then kind of. It goes both ways. Like I said, it was about roughly 36 weeks long. First of all, before you even get to that, you got to be physical. You have to go to the physical part first.
Okay.
You gotta do the
what is
physical
that
part.
like? What do you have to do?
That depends on your age range.
Okay.
There's different timing. Like the mile and a half, for you is different than mine because I'm older age-wise. So I might have to, let's just say the mile and a half, I might have to run it in 14 minutes versus you might have to do it in 13 minutes.
So what was the process like in the training, with the 36 weeks of training? What did you do?
It's basically classwork versus few hands-on things.
Okay.
And those are usually Monday through Friday, 8 to 4.
So it's like a regular job.
Exactly. They're paying for a regular job, and obviously, they have their own requirements. You have to be dressed certain ways. You have to follow their, guidelines and everything else, and just being there, and you have some.
Are you going through physical stuff too?
Yes, both. Like I said, you can have a half a day where you're just doing in-class work. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say 8 to 4 before lunch, you just be in class, learning the laws and whatnot, and then after lunch, you're actually going back and running that mile and a half.
So what, like I know that there's difference in salaries in terms of when you become an officer and when you are a recruit, I guess. Well, how does that work?
Yes, so when you're a recruit, I think right now, the last I checked, the city's almost paying you like 55 grand just to be a recruit. And as soon as you graduate, so literally as soon as you graduate, as soon as you make the academy, you get a bump. So you could be close to almost 60 grand.
Okay.
So just starting the recruit, the whole process, you're at 55. And as soon as you graduate, that changes to 5 grand more almost.
I think there is a lot of misconception in terms of what cops do on a day-to-day basis. Like, I know you guys are patrolling, going to calls and things like that.
Right.
But if you could go through the different things you do on a day-to-day basis, if you could give us a couple of things.
One good thing about this job is there's not two jobs that are alike. So you'll never run into the same type of call. It could be same exact call, nature of call, like say somebody's out there calling for help, but the outcome or the scenario is always different.
Okay.
So like a day-to-day routine would be more like, again, depends on what's going on around the city. And
so are you like are you always patrolling, or are you in the office?
Most cops, you're always patrolling, obviously, and I guess a day-to-day job could be pretty much for an average person, again, assuming that nothing is taking off, nothing crazy going on with the city, there's nothing, big, crazy things going on. A cop would be more like when you first go in, you report to work, you get your assignment. What car you're going to be driving, and then obviously you take your car and a radio, body camera, whatnot, and then you will start patrolling that area pretty much.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. You just get your assignment, get your equipment, and patrol, and then now the rest is what type of service you're gonna go to exactly.
Right.
Because like I said, there is nothing. There could be sometimes though you could be there for 2-3 hours where, again, depending on what, like especially now it's cold in the wintertime, sometimes like I said, it could be 2-3 hours of nothing happening. You're just patrolling, you're not getting no call, especially on your side of the area. It could be just calm that day. And sometimes it could be you're just running back to back.
In terms of office work, is there any office work, or how, like I know you guys have to write reports and things of that nature, or no?
Well, there is no office days or office work per se. Like obviously, to write your report, you gotta come in, submit the work, and sometimes use the computer and whatnot.
Okay.
But there is no like alternatives. But like 2 days I'm patrolling, 2 days I'm working inside.
Oh.
We don't have that.
Wow.
Most places they have designated people working inside.
Let's say that you wrote a report, so for some incident happened, you don't write that up. Somebody else does that for you.
No, you write your own report.
So when do you do that?
So usually that's when you might see police officers all the time parked up different part of places. It's not, obviously just want to catch up on their report because they have to turn those in.
Right.
So it's all done.
So it's on you to do that all within your time.
All within your time. But then again, sometimes things happen where you might have to stay longer than, that you're told just to catch up.
Gotcha. Okay, so what do you enjoy most about your job?
Able to help out people, to be honest with you, like get there, and again, not everything is negative about it. Like that one person that actually appreciates you, or that 2 person or 5 person, let's just say, that appreciates you being there. That's basically what makes you want to get up and get to work.
Okay, what do you least enjoy? I'm sure there's a longer list, but
yeah, I mean exactly. Least enjoy would be, like I said, sometimes it's the fact that this is a thankless job. Like it's not. Like I say, it's not somebody that you get appreciated for. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other fields as well that,
right.
people don't get thanks enough for their job,
Right.
But that's one of the jobs that, you just feel like, like, what am I doing here?
Okay. Like I read articles about community policing. So do you think that having people from their own community to patrol the community would be a good thing or a bad thing? Or what are the pros and cons, in your personal opinion? Well,
just like with anything, like patrolling your own neighborhood, the pros, like I said, is good. A lot of people is kind of hard because it's kind of with any field. Here's the thing, whatever people do, if we are all working in the same thing together, like I said, we all working at some type of company, we all doing the same job. All of a sudden, if one of them becomes a boss and now that person has to order the rest of the people. It kind of doesn't
dynamic change.
Exactly. It doesn't work that way, because now all of a sudden these people you were friends with, now you are telling them what to do. They don't take it well. And that would be the same thing with the community policing. Like if you take people from the same community, if you say, you know what, hey, listen, you patrol your own neighborhood. Yeah, but now that when they have to tell that, certain person 3 doors down the line that person saw this person grow up, and they live up to, or they have friends they grew up together. All of a sudden, you're telling them, "Hey, don't park their car there." Right. All of a sudden, you're not going to get the respect, because they're more like, "Oh, now you became, somebody in authority." All of a sudden, you are telling us not to do that while you did it with us.
Right.
So, other way, I guess you could be community policing. First of all, you don't have to be a police officer to take charge in your own community. Like you see a lot of people, if you see something wrong, speak up.
Right.
As simple as that. That's the only way to help the community.
Right. Any type of skills you recommend for our viewers that they could start working on if they want to get into this field?
I mean, right now we are pretty much really looking people to hire, and they pay good money. Like I said, you don't only need a high school diploma.
Okay.
I mean, what field that you could tell me that just having a high school diploma can get you 60 grand?
Right.
I mean, I know for a fact that people goes to college, has a bachelor's, they don't even make that much starting. And now this one is...
No, you're right.
And again, this is a good platform, like you said, bring back to the community person, that if you are the community person, granted, you might not be patrolling your own community, but if that's what you want to do, that's a good way to get into it. That's a great platform. Use it and help the community, because from being whatever your background is, how this community is.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure other part of the city, they're dealing with the same nonsense.
Right.
So you might not be able to patrol your own community, but guess what? When you're having this chance to help other community, go for it.
Well, I think that's kind of all I had for you today. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure our viewers will have questions for you. If you could please answer them when they do post them, that would be wonderful. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
If you are interested in a specific career path or know someone who'd like to be interviewed, please email us at askalutely@gmail.com. That's basically absolutely without the BS.